That's the vlog. You, it's your team. Yeah, that's it's gonna be still be part of the celebration. Still be part of the celebration. If we go to national. Yeah. Oh wow. What was the or like basically I hope council can vote on it. I think there's that does it.
And we do all that resolution stuff at the end, so it'll probably be really late.
Worst case. Get back to I will see you all next week.
What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I think Nick and Siddhara
Good.
are hanging around this week, so
Take a night off from USAC at least.
I never want to take a night off from USAC.
Oh, you're too sweet.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah. I wish I could take a night off from USAC. Oh my gosh, I'm on USAC Live. Ignore me.
Alright, well, I will see y'all
I'm pretty sure I was
next week
Okay.
or at some point.
See ya.
See ya. Siddhara.
It's fine. It's
We're not streaming yet.
I do not go to sorry,
This is the slowest computer ever. Claire, if you do me a huge favor and just share it onto the USAC page, then we can just start. Yeah. Okay. We're going.
Stop from what? Like the web. Oh yeah.
So basically, anytime I twist my torso.
Alright, now we're gonna start. Now I told you to order it out of the evening everyone. As you can tell, we're not on form at the moment, but we're still going to support with special presentations, public comment, and officer reports that I anticipate that we will be in forum in an hour. So once we get there, we will do it. Unfortunately, it's how we can't vote anything, but that's okay. So I'm going to take a minute to the agenda, but again, we'll be approving these just so I can kind of get ahead in terms of what we are going to do. So I'm going to need a minute to the agenda today. They would like to strike their reports. Amy? Sure, okay. Any items that folks want added? Funding wise, do you have Georgia funding? Yeah, Bethany has funding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, maybe something here, so I'm gonna strike it back. Do we have AC or
Hold
copper?
on, sorry. We're gonna take.
What? Yes. You do? And so we don't, oh, so we all just leave it on the agenda for now. Sorry, you're talking about something.
Yeah, so Bethany hasn't said anything.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, it's still going to prove them formally anyway, so if something else comes up, you know, just kind of happen. We're striking AC officer support and then vaccinations. Okay, so we will move into special presentations. Our first special presentation tonight is regarding the UCLA Centennial Celebration, featuring folks from our committee. Guidelines for special presentation, the presentation itself will go up to 15 minutes and then we'll leave 5 minutes for Q&A. We can, of course, extend the USAC approval, but basic technical guidelines in which we operate. So, we'll turn it over to representatives of the Centennial Committee for you. And I'll be keeping time with a 5-minute warning, a 1-minute warning, and then we'll time-wise just to.
All right. Hope the timer hasn't started yet. We set up this. All right. So thank you and good afternoon, members of the council. I am representing the Centennial Student Leadership Committee as well as the General Affairs for the university. My name is Andres Cuervo, and I'm the Director of Operations and Strategic Partnerships for the Centennial Celebration. We've been working for the last close to 2 years on setting up the framework and themes, branding, as well as events here for this once-in-a-lifetime moment in the history of the university. And we're so thrilled to be able to share, give you all a preview of what's ahead for the celebration. I do want to emphasize that it's truly a preview. We're not going public with this until April 30th. This is an advanced overview of the year, and we appreciate keeping this within the campus and those walls. I also want to oh, absolutely, no. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're not going out to members of the public through Los Angeles and the world announcing this. And if you're watching on USAC Live, that's fine. I'm just thinking of press and members of the public and so forth to that. Daily Bruin is aware of what we're doing. That's fine. No, I appreciate that. So to that end, you can already see here the branding that we're utilizing during the centennial year. You can see the logo mark that we're going to be utilizing and interweaving not only throughout the events of the year, but really we're empowering all of you as well as campus units to be able to use this logo and really use this opportunity to think about who to commemorate and how to commemorate your history, the history of the campus, and the people that have shaped it during these last 100 years. We really see this as an opportunity to deepen the university's relationship with stakeholders in the campus, but also with Los Angeles, California, and the world. We're encouraging all units to help us amplify stories and impact of UCLA. We really see this as so much more than a celebration, but an opportunity to recommit to our charter as a public state institution and our role in being stewards of the welfare of society and the world. And we're hearing so the rollout of the celebration began in February with an announcement from the Chancellor to save the date on February 25th. Here you see a rough timeline of what we're working towards. Specifically, we're now working towards the May 1st unveiling of the Centennial site and the plans that you're about to see here. And that will kick off the 14-month period of the celebration. Here you see the message that went out to campus from the Chancellor, as well as the rollout that has already began on social media, both on UCLA channels and on UCLA alumni. And we're really encouraging folks to save May 18th as the official marker of the launch of the Centennial, with the website unveiling on April 30th. the unveiling of the plans, sort of drumming up support towards that launch date on the 8th. Here you can also see that the graduation sashes, centennial version of them became available in January, and they're already available at the store. We've already seen a lot of students taking photos with them. And essentially, they're the traditional blue and gold sashes. They're going to have the centennial logo on them as well. And I do want to emphasize that we have 2 centennial classes, both the graduating class of 2019 and the class of 2020 will have these special sashes. I also want to emphasize that the week leading up to the 18th will be iHeartUCLA Week, and both iHeartUCLA Week and Spring Stain will be quote-unquote centennialized. I do want to emphasize that this is not a real word, but it's a word that we're using fairly often to centennialize everything. And this student preview on the 17th is a preview of the production show that we have planned for the 18th. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. So celebration begins on the 18th. It's a blockbuster day where we're combining Alumni Day, TEDx UCLA, and the special production show commemorating 100 years of UCLA. Alumni Day is open to everybody, and they're going to be offering special sessions, tours of campus. TEDx is going to be active at Rose Hall as well, shedding light into human areas across students, alumni, and faculty of the university. And all of this information is already available on the 100.ucla.edu website. Please feel free to visit that site if you have more information, if you'd like to learn more about what we have planned for that day. You can see here a little bit more details about Alumni Day. This includes networking, performances, sessions, experiences. Experiences are really tied to offering attendees a behind-the-scenes look of the campus. So there's going to be, for example, tunnel tours, which not a lot of people get access to. The tunnel tours of the Arroyo Cycle Bridge, we're going to be doing that, as well as, for example, the helipad at the hospital, just sort of giving both alumni and members of the public cool experiences on campus. You can also see some of the special speakers that are lined up for that day, including Annalie Fisher, the first mom in space. We also have the CEO of AAG, the owners of the Staples Center, who's an alum that will be coming here. The Department of Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences will be bringing a boat to campus that they do have out to conduct research, along with student performances and a double-decker tour of campus. Now, this marks the beginning of the year. I'm about to highlight the marquee events that we have planned for the year. We really see these as platforms of engagement for Angelenos and members of the campus community. Starting with May 18th, the opening day that I mentioned. On May 20th, we're going to be going to Sacramento, holding a reception that's being hosted by State Senator Ben Allen and Assemblymember Sidney Hamalder-Dove. That reception will be really an opportunity to recognize, again, our role as a public institution, as a state institution, and be recognized by the state. The legislature during that day will also be presenting certificates of recognition to the university, and really an opportunity to also engage Northern California alumni and Sacramento alumni as well. So we look forward to bringing the celebration up for that reception. We're also going to be throwing a celebration in downtown for Angelenos. This is in partnership with Graham Park and KCRW. Following the UCLA 100th birthday celebration in Graham Park, we're going to have a birthday cake. This one we're actually turning 100. I should mention that our charter was signed on the 23rd. So the evening before, we're going to be having some special guests, some special performances on stage on Block 2 of Graham Park in downtown. And it will all culminate with the lighting of City Hall in blue and gold. And when that building lights in blue and gold, we're going to have some additional landmarks lighting in blue and gold, including LAX and the Staples Center and other landmarks. So we encourage all of you to be there and help us spread the message to students and members of the campus community, but really Angelenos as well. And we'll have more details around all of these events starting on April 30th. Public. Then we're going to have the first graduating class, like I mentioned earlier. We're very thrilled and excited around that, and I mentioned the centennial sashes earlier. We're also going to be at LA Pride. Now, I do want to mention that campus units have been on LA Pride before, but this is the first time that we're organized campus-wide contingent to be a part of the celebration, and we're so excited to be able to celebrate Bruin's, the many identities of campus. Throughout these events, we're also going to have commemorative centennial pins. So if you attend the Sacramento celebration or the downtown celebration or LA Pride, we're going to have special UCLA 100 pins that you can get for free at these events. Chancellor Block will be hosting the presidents of the Asia Pacific Region University in June. And I'm noting that here as a special moment for the university as it turns 100. We're going to be going abroad to Asia in August. The Chancellor will be holding receptions for alumni in Asia. That is our largest constituency group of alumni in the world, so this is why we're heading to those locations. And we'll be releasing that schedule also come May. We're also centennializing Volunteer Day. We're going to have 100 sites across Los Angeles, tying back to our mission of research and service. I just wanted to show you some photos of the downtown event for those that aren't familiar with Grant Park. We're going to be lighting these fountains in blue and gold as well. Then you can see here the layout for Grant Park. I don't know how many of you have been to Grant Park. Some? Okay, great. And you can see here that by the Hall of Administration is where the main stage is going to be. And then in the background will be City Hall itself. Moving into the later half of the year, we're bringing back 10 questions. This is a really successful public forum series that was started by the School of Arts and Architecture. For those that aren't familiar, it's actually a class with 100 students that are enrolled. And then there's an additional 200 seats for the public. So it's a really interesting hybrid of a class and a public forum series. There's no one instructor either. There are 4, and it's interdisciplinary, and they tackle 10 questions in each session. So this will be really exciting as it will open our very mission as an education institution to the public and to be able to discuss topics like what is failure, what is love, what is the university during our centennial. And we're also going to be engaging alumni to be part of these conversations as well. That will be every Tuesday in October through December. We're also going to be rolling out a special partnership with Ciclavia on October 6th. This is a 10-mile route in downtown called Heart of LA. So we'll be celebrating UCLA's 100 years. For those that haven't been to Ciclavia, it's when the streets are closed to vehicular traffic, and Angelinas can come out to bike, run, or walk. And we'll be activating that with around 20 units from across the university to bring UCLA to downtown. It's also an opportunity for us to recognize our beginnings in downtown. The State Normal School began at the current site of the Central Public Library, and then we moved, the State Normal School then moved to the Vermont campus where LACC is now, up here to the west side of our current campus. So we're really excited to be able to call back to our beginnings in downtown in the heart of LA. And then the internet is turning 50 years this year. That week is in October is Internet Week. And so as the birthplace of the internet, the School of Engineering, in partnership with Anderson School of Business, are organizing a conference called Internet 50 to invite leaders to UCLA that have shaped the internet, as well as our own pioneers that were involved with that, Professor Kleinbach and alums like Vin Cerf, who is a career lead at Google. Then in November, Exploring Your Universe, our annual event when we open our observatories and telescopes to the public. Over 6,000 Angelinos attend that. That's also going to be part of our celebration and centennialized. Then we're also going to be in the Tournament of Roses, thanks to Westcom. Westcom Union is hosting UCLA on their float as part of the celebration. And then we're partnering with LA Hacks. This is a student group. This is the largest hackathon in Southern California and one of 4 in the country. And this is really an opportunity to think about the legacy of the centennial. And again, I shared with all of you earlier that we really see this as so much more than a celebration, but there's an opportunity to serve the public good. And so with LA Hacks, we're looking at creating apps that serve the city services. So we're going to be partnering with City Hall to develop apps that help the city. And then we're getting into the closing ceremonies of the centennial. The School of Music is organizing a concert with the LA Phil in specifically the LA Phil's YOLA program, that's their youth orchestra program, Art Only Philharmonic, with a concert conducted by Gustavo Dudamel. So we'll have details around that closer May 22nd. Although these events are supported. Let me just speak on this really quickly. So this is the route of Ciclovia. Just want to make sure that you had an idea. This is specifically a route from 2016. So this is the basis of the foundation that we're using. Here you see that it stretches from MacArthur Park all the way to Boyle Heights and Chinatown to the Broadway corridor. Have 1 minute? Oh my, okay. Let me go super fast. I want to make sure to emphasize that all of this is possible thanks to the support of the University Credit Union for helping to support financially the events between the opening and the closing. We have 4 special initiatives that are also rolling out as part of the centennial. The first one is Open UCLA, launching in fall of 2019. This is when the library will be creating a portal that will be housing over 5,000 digitized scholarship pieces of the university. The idea here is that we're tackling barriers to access. Usually you have to be a UCLA student, or you have to be affiliated with the university, or be a key to access scholarship at the university. This will change that as we digitize that scholarship. We do universal rights around that and create a portal that's open to Angelinos and the world at large. The library will be partnering with LA City and LA County Libraries to bring that scholarship to the public. We're also rolling out Initiative 2, UCLA Our Stories, Our Impact, where this is a multi-media exhibit being organized by the Institute of American Cultures. All 5 centers are creating a multimedia exhibit that highlights alumni, students, and faculty that have shaped social justice movements in America and in Los Angeles. This is going to be a traveling exhibit both on campus and throughout Los Angeles. Initiative 3 is UCLA Collects, 100 Years of Sharing Knowledge. This is a museum exhibit being organized by the Fowler in partnership with the Hammer Museum and 11 campus units. And this is really the first time when the physical knowledge of the university is coming together in one space. It's not just art and books, but things like the meteorite collection, right? We have so many things here on campus that are just fantastic and coming together for the first time in a museum exhibit. But this exhibit will be telling the stories of not just these objects, but really what it says about us as a university. And this will be accompanied by a PLS class. We're going to have K-12 outreach through Cap UCLA's Design for Sharing, and as well as a wide array of events celebrating this exhibit. This will be at the tail end of the celebration on April 2020. The last initiative goes back to our beginnings as a teacher school. So out of the School of Education, Center X and the Institute for Democracy, Education, and Access are bringing together 10 research centers across the university, looking at data on inequality, specifically indicators on health, transportation, housing, and income, and creating a curriculum for students. So we're going to be flipping the model of expertise from the university to youth and asking students across Los Angeles, here's data from UCLA on inequality, what solutions and ideas would you have to tackle these problems? And all of that discussion and discourse will culminate in a Centennial Youth Summit here on campus, where we're going to be bringing 100 classrooms from across LA to UCLA. Those are the 4 initiatives. So the marquee events, a couple of the initiatives are part of the central efforts to commemorate the 100 years of UCLA, but they're by no means what's final. We're bringing on board continuing ideas from alumni and campus units, and we're also looking at campus tie-in events. So these are events that happen every year regardless, that are also being commemorated and tied into the centennial. They include events like the all-staff picnic that happens every year in August. They include Trooper and Welcome, Move-In Weekend. There's just so many things that are also being tied in, like Bioscience Innovation Day, UCLA Undergraduate Research Week, and all of them taking a look at our impact and the steps that have shaped UCLA over the 100 years of the university. And we're also looking at things like, like every year the Dodgers have a UCLA night, so we're making sure to tie in our 100th birthday to that. And just want to go over some of the communication assets very quickly. Not only is it the brand, but we're going to have a website that's going to be housing all of this information on April 30th. We're going to have campus banners across, not just here on campus, but the city as well, with some bragging points of the university, as well as commemorative merchandising. And this is all starting on April 30th. You can see here how the brand takes shape in various ways. That was a 1 minute.
I knew you will.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I really appreciate that. I know it's a lot, but I think that the main point that we really want to emphasize is that UCLA means so much to so many people. We're not only the #1 public university in the world, but we're committed to public impact, and our celebration is so much more than a birthday or a pat on the back. We really want to recommit to impact and opening the resources of the university to the public. And so our celebration and what you've seen here is just the beginning of that. And we hope that all of you students not only engage through all of these events and initiatives, but that you also join in and help us think of what additional things can we do throughout the year. As we're also lucky to be here at UCLA during this moment, and we want to make sure to capitalize and expand and do as much as possible during this moment. So thank you so much for having me. I'm here as a resource as well for all of you if you have any questions. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Okay, so you said a lot about like including Angelinos and community outreach. Can you talk more about what that looks like?
Absolutely. Can you tell
Hi,
me?
sorry, my name is Serena.
Serena.
Yeah.
Hi, Serena. That's a fantastic question. So let me start first with the marquee events. These are platforms that we really created that are free and open to everyone. And so we're partnering with community organizations to make sure that the invites for these events don't just sit within the bubble of campus, that they reach Angelinos. So to give you an example, we're working with Central City Association, which is the largest downtown organization with businesses across downtown. We're working with the Music Center. We're working with Grant Park. We're working with KCRW. So these are just different outlets and institutions that Angelinos are connected to. We're also leaning in on units and programs that directly reach out to Angelinos as well. Yeah, right, exactly, like the Labor Center. And then we're hoping that the banners throughout the city are going to also pique the interest of Angelinos. So we're trying to come to them in a way that's organic, in a way that's not advertisable, but it's just a way for them to engage at these events.
Is there like a chance of outreaching to high schoolers?
Absolutely. So the initiatives, I should mention that beyond the events, the initiatives are helping to that end too, and the curriculum outreach that's going to be happening with students in the summer. So that initiative is launching in fall 2019. And through the summer, the 10 research centers that I mentioned for that initiative are going to be working with teachers across the city. So that will be an additional opportunity to outreach to high school students. We also have the community school in our the RFK campus in Koreatown, and we have Forest Bend in South LA. So that's an additional opportunity that we're going to be using to reach out to students. We're also doing a printed calendar guide for Angelinos. And that will be rolling out on April 30th. I'm so happy you asked that. I forgot to mention that we're going to have that calendar guide, so we'll be distributing copies to all of you as well, so you can help us spread that as well. Thank you.
What does the outreach of inclusion of the salary folks include? I know you mentioned forest managers like the employees, but just like Angelinos of people more and has like students mostly like from South Bay or like the San Diego or like downtown. Space that like are they included in that?
Right, that's a great question, and I think one that we've been very meticulous about thinking about. We want to be responsible in how we come to communities, and we're being very self-aware during the celebration that as a #1 public institution, we want to avoid the perception of we haven't been in the community before to just come in and say, come join us in a celebration. We're being very mindful of that. So the most meaningful way that we're engaging underserved communities is 3 ways. One, not only are the events open and free to everybody, removing barriers of equity and access to them, discussion around admissions and intervening the centennial, making that accessible to students is really important. Number 3 is all 4 initiatives that we're rolling out are around equity. So both opening the scholarship of the university, doing outreach to students, to tackling inequality, as well as the multimedia exhibit highlighting students, faculty, and alum that often are from those communities and bringing that multimedia exhibit to them. And then the last, curriculum building, are areas that we found were genuine, that just coming in and saying, come join us for this party. That's what we didn't want that perception. We want to make sure the entire community is in ways that was meaningful for them.
But I'm just like sharing this, like how the students are most likely, I guess,
Absolutely. So I think there's three ways. The first way is the way that we're encouraging all campus units to help us spread the word and attend the events. That's sort of the least amount of effort is participating. The more meaningful one begins with the history and role of ASUCLA in the history of the university. As I was reading the archives of the beginning of the university, ASUCLA was instrumental in the securing of the Westwood campus for the university. ASUCLA students, so just to give you, not to get into the weeds of this, but the regents were looking for a location because we were moving from Vermont campus. It was too big, too many people, and we were considering moving to UC Pasadena. We were almost going to become UC Pasadena. And it was because of ASUCLA students that did an outreach campaign to Angelenos to vote yes on city bonds. So the city took out a bond, and Angelenos had to vote for it to approve funds to purchase the land that we're on and to bring the campus here. And so things like that, a lot of people don't know about. And that's just the beginning, right? We have 100 years of history and student impact. I would love to hear from you as to what's the best way to commemorate that history and to commemorate those students. And I also want to hear from you as to how can we be a part of your events and your efforts and your programs during the Centennial. And we'd be so happy to include them on the Centennial website. So we have a full year. We have some time. Maybe we can get together this summer with the new leadership and go from there. But absolutely, it's a great question, and please see us as a resource.
So other folks that have to go and have questions. Jay?
So, if I can see through so are you all gonna probably have like a super over the top investment speaker for next year's graduation? And why not well, that's not to say that this one won't be over the top, but
That's a great question. I do want to clarify this. I'm only here as a representative of the Centennial, and I believe that's a question for the college. But I'm sure it's I do want to say that the Centennial has transformed and shaped how we think of what we do during the Centennial year. So as you think of, I don't know if it's over the top, but I would say meaningful speakers is definitely something that's considered by the campus.
So,
yeah.
Do you know the speaker for this year?
I don't.
So we talked about doing a lot of tours, and there's been a lot of movement on behalf of the student organization. And you seem like someone who's spending a lot of attention. And so for, I want to say a solid amount of time, students have been trying to utilize the Students of Color Tour. And I think that this would be a great opportunity for that. And also because Centennial has money, and the reason there has been a pause on student works to actually continue to push Students of Color Tours as institutionalized is because there would be no compensation for the history tracking that they have done within their works. So thoughts on using Centennial money to purchase that information from the works that have held on to it for so long?
Let me just start by saying that I'm a fan of that tour, and I think it should definitely be a part of our Centennial. I do want to say that we don't have a budget. If I had funds, I would say absolutely. We don't have any funds for anything, actually. The Centennial sponsor that I mentioned is funding the event specifically, but I'll tell you this.
If we team up, we'll talk to you.
That's what I like. So I can tell you the following. For Alumni Day, and I don't want to speak for the Alumni Association again, just representing the Centennial, but I can tell you this. There are volunteer efforts by faculty and students already to get toward the campus during that day. So I think what would be incredible would be for us to be able to know what the curriculum base, or I guess the plans for those tours are, and see how we can incorporate them as part of that Centennial launch. day, because I'd love to see that as, so there's 4 tracks around architecture, around some of the different parts of the campus, and I'd love to see a 5th track that incorporates what's been done by students around that. So let's touch base afterwards, because I think there's potential for that. The sooner the better, because that's just around the corner.
So, I'm glad Serena brought that up, because as you were talking about how ASUCLA was instrumental in securing land for the Western campus, I was wondering if perhaps there's any space, like, so I took a world arts cultures class last quarter, and WAC does something really cool where every section of the class, they have a land acknowledgement. And so, I really do probably reach out to the world arts cultures department and send it to you, because they have those as for free. But I thought it really meaningful, because one, it's it acknowledges like these heritages, but then also like tying that into the centennial campaign, especially if we're going to be highlighting hidden histories of how this land was acquired, like that might be something that you have to do. So
Absolutely, and this is how I know that we're all Floridians in this room, because we care about the same things. And I can tell you that we've incorporated that acknowledgement both during the, not only the opening events on the 18th, but also throughout the year as well. I can share with you that the chair of the Centennial Celebration, Carol Goldberg, is one of the premier experts actually in Native American affairs. So we've been very mindful of that throughout. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
So you talked about, I'm sorry, I have so many. You talked about student performers, and I know you just said that you don't have funding, but because it is so hard for student performers to secure funding, I think there needs to be a compensation for them, since they're being celebrated and they're usually like a token of diversity on campus, et cetera, et cetera. Is there any way that, like, plans on reimbursing?
I believe that, so the student performers for Alumni Day, I believe there's compensation for that. Sorry?
Is that one?
I think so. It depends. I think for LA Pride, for example, we don't have student performers. We're encouraging students to be a part of. CPD is unit-based activations and questions of public forum series. So I think that the main right when we do have them, absolutely.
All right. Okay, so for a long time, UCLA organizations like the LGBTQ Center, et cetera, has been applying funds to take students to LA Pride, which has been like a hassle. So now that the institution has decided to celebrate LA Pride, I feel like there also needs to be an acknowledgement of like students have been trying to do that for so long. Are there going to be any efforts to pay for students to attend LA Pride?
I will share that with LGBT Center, but absolutely. So just so you know, right now there's a planning committee with over 10 units across campus representing different LGBT interests on campus. And I'll definitely make sure to let them know that this is part of the feedback from the student body. So thank you.
That was it. And then.
How much are you guys trying to travel across the process, or are you scheduling?
Can you expand on the question?
Well, exactly. Are you saying?
Can you say that again? It's kind of loud.
Yeah.
And it's like really fun.
Are you like accessible? I know I'm not trying to be conscious, I'm sorry. Are you accessible to students like afterwards, or will you be like on travel?
Oh no, I'm here for you. Like whenever I can stay absolutely after. And I will also make sure to share my email whenever possible.
I was just gonna offer, I'm on this
Absolutely.
committee, and Deb and I sit day in, day out next to each other, so you share things with Deb, Deb can share with me, you can
Absolutely.
share directly with the campaign, we can of course hear your feedback, comments, and ideas. I think one of the questions that you asked the group was, what are your signature events that USAC hosts on the annual day, every year you host those? And might you consider also, is it fair to say, that you would think about how you might incorporate a centennial celebration component in that? Because I think that's also part of the question. You're here to share information,
Right.
but you want to also inspire everybody.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, this is their own, right?
Absolutely, and I appreciate that point, because I do want to say that this is not a top-down celebration. We're leaning in on units to activate and prioritize the areas that need to be prioritized. This is sort of a general buffet of platform opportunities that we're offering. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, that's so fire. Both were like, okay, so I'm gonna do this year we're running we have a bike education that happens every single April. Ours will take this before. And what it is we'll just talk about educational things, give updates on academic policy, those kind of things happening in the Senate. We give updates on higher education and bringing students from the greater Los Angeles area up to here. Bike education partnership. What we call member organizations in terms of student government are leadership organizations that represent marginalized demographics on campus, such as the Guidance Association, all those folks. So Bike Education Week is a week of not only policy, but policy, education, outreach, retention, and this year service. And so that's something that if you want to, the next mission will be. Or you can make a shout out for this is happening. But they'll be active next year as well.
Let's move on to the last one. Brewing that. Like a centennial brewing batch this
Yes.
Girl, it's like.
Right? Yes.
We're down if there's money for you give us the money and we bigger brewing batch.
Okay, so let's clarify, if I may, because I opened the door to this. Andres doesn't have a budget to
Yeah.
celebrate
I feel
centennial.
like
Yeah, okay, but how do we, right, and maybe this is a student affairs partnership, this is a partnership with USAC, how do we think about what are those critical things that USAC wants to get behind? And then how do we think about how we fund that in partnership with a number of units? We don't look at Andres to say, give us some money to pull off these events, because all he's doing is leveraging partnerships.
I'm
across.
proposed to me.
Yes, he's here to team up. Then the question becomes, how do you blow up brewing batch? Well, then whoever's being, whatever commissions are gonna really focus on that, partner with us, let's talk about that, how do we support that, what are we gonna do? How do we give you the brand elements? How do we give us feedback about what we wanna do? How do we find funding to do that? Yes, yes, and yes. This is a shared conversation, right? It's not we're looking for, this is not a funding pool that's available for student organizations.
I don't even have a pool.
We don't have a pool yet.
Do you have the same sponsorship person that ACC is, or do you have a centennial sponsorship?
You mean in terms of fundraising?
I mean, like Westcott, I mean, I
So
think.
like what is this? The guy who does.
Well, Kieran helps a lot of.
Kieran.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
so
y'all-
Student affairs.
Yeah, sure. So we can, Karen can work with, yes, but I mean, Westcom, the universities, is hosting the involvement in the Rose Parade, right? So, yes, the corporate sponsors that the university has engaged with are being engaged in conversations about how they also support the centennial celebration. So we're talking about the same folks. Yeah.
And I should mention that the Dean for Students is absolutely, probably has more, we're talking about resources more than I do in terms of reach. And I would say that as a member of the steering committee, it's just as essential as I am, if not more, in this discussion. And so I think please work with Maria on these ideas. And I think something that we can continue throughout the year. And again, the May 18th is just the beginning, goes through June, so we have plenty of time to be able to activate in very meaningful ways.
And you're going to give the same presentation to Graduate Student Association, so the idea here is that we're also talking to graduate students and the GSA about the opportunities for their engagement, and where there are shared partnerships between USAC and GSA, then we would look to you all to partner and then tell us where we can also support your vision and your ideas about your involvement.
Thank you so much for this work. I will say, Jamie and I will actually both be at this. I don't know, we're just looking forward to it. We will meet with government community relations chancellor on a lobby trip after those 2 days. You're very excited. So let's know how that goes. Great. Okay. So our next item on the agenda is the presentation of the election ballot. This is a consent item. Unfortunately, not the forum, but you can still go ahead and do something. That's what just kind of, yeah, thanks, yeah. This also just pointed out, it's like more for our administrative representatives as well. As you can tell by the ballot, there are empty positions that those are ready for, and so would the protocol be a special election spring or at spring or fall?
Protocol would be a special election in the fall.
The fall.
That anyone who's seeking
Okay.
there would need to be an election chair.
Wow, okay.
They consider opening just position that has no. But between now and the election, you can get into my open just the position that has no.
How do folks feel about that? So we're talking about FSC here and third agenda.
Those are the ones right now.
Yes. Yeah, so they're going to, well, depending on how the J board meetings are to on Thursday goes, which I'll talk about in my next report. They are maybe 2 openings in Denmark or 3.
I think I'm looking for a special election. Possibly. It's like, I don't know, it's like. Yeah. I'm trying to like this.
The one thing that I want to say is that coming into this year, like this election year, I made pushback so much. I'm gonna be honest, like that directly impacted my ability as a representative. It definitely impacted, and the only thing that I have concern about is waiting until fall is essentially doing this. I feel like we weren't given the situation that happened, and I think our role right now is to do the best we can to at least reset it and start over whatever crack that we were handed and not continue the cycle. And I really don't think we're going to follow all of that. And it sucks that we didn't have as much of an outreach, but I think it was honestly a blessing and that it gives us a year to start over, refresh, and kind of quit the cycle that's happening. And I'm just genuinely worried about doing election fall.
I think we're so much longer than the election, maybe more than 2 weeks. Like, if you were to open up the position for like, whether that be this year or January, or like, even give people another week to think about collect signatures, that means that we're expecting that to run a successful campaign at the same time that folks who were literally hearing our names right now. And I think that would have been a disadvantage in some regard, or put the student body, like, you know, like people who haven't had enough time to frankly flesh out their ideas, right? Because also these people that are running, we may be hearing about them and running these positions now, but that doesn't mean that they haven't been preparing for like, I don't know, X amount of time, having it in their minds, like, back in church, flesh out their ideas, or maybe, maybe they'll just end up, I have no clue, but, I really think that trying to expect someone on being successful in like limited amount of time is gonna be tough for them. It's gonna be tough for us to embody. I don't know if there's a way to have a special election to see next spring. That would be the one going.
But I mean, so if we were to, so I understand that point about maybe not opening up the third gen spot then, but my concern is for FSC, if we were to open it up, and wouldn't everybody go find the same playing field then, because they would all just start at this time, because slates is a lot different this year. I don't know. I just thought of going into a school year, 2 members of USAC down, the implications on house for summer quorum, the implications on house for the work that you know better than anyone that will see that as institutionalized. I don't know. It worries me more having a big commission. I mean, I don't know if there would be interest in people switching over that were running for other positions. I don't know if there would be interest in like somebody that was really hesitant, but we would be willing to do it if they felt like it would be less of a contentious campaign. I think a lot of the reason why the numbers are so low this year is because a lot of people were deterred from the election values in the past few years, unfortunately. So I don't know, I think that there is some appeal potentially, but we would have to do this like now, if it was to happen. Yeah, you would rather than do it.
To share, Kiana, so Claire just mentioned like, for like, there being, not, like, wondering if there's any like possibility for viewing. I'm also wondering that, like, yeah.
Do we know a candidate that would be like, what
Right,
are
right.
that's being interested in?
I mean, I can definitely reach out to people, but I don't wanna do it now, because it's assuming that they'll lose.
Yeah.
That's weird to ask. But I was speaking with Chris about this, and he mentioned that the cleanest option would be a special election in the fall. And he kind of described like what would happen, and I kind of agree with that, but if you guys have like any like opinions on it, like I would be willing to, ask the candidates if they.
Another big concern I have is, with the next president is definitely going to appoint the election board chair really quickly, and we saw this year was very challenging to find a lot of qualified candidates, and so expecting the next president to have an election board chair in before the school starts is. I don't know, Ryan?
So just really briefly, another thing to consider is, my UCLA charges us to run these elections. We have to pay $6,000 to run the election. So right now, there's $6,000 specifically in election board to pay for it. So if we would have a special election, that would mean there would be an additional $6,000 that we need to pay. That's kind of the unfortunate burden.
Pay for our own resource, that's so dumb.
Wait.
Yes.
So we have to pay $6,000 to my UCLA
Yes,
for them to run the election, right? So we're gonna pay that in 4 weeks, whenever the 4 weeks, whenever the election is. If there's a special election, that money's gonna come, there's gonna be, an additional $6,000. Maybe they'll give us a deal, I don't know.
From which fund does that come from? Because
Ebor.
that's some dumb food.
But also the other part, like, we can't help that they're not doing it after election. Why is it actually so brand
We can talk about that now, we can talk about our board, but, Keanu can speak to it a little bit as well, but there is an ongoing judicial board case, that was filed a few days ago, the petition was emailed, I have emailed someone I can forward if you want.
I requested it's in an executive session, just because like.
Oh, no, that's like, I just wanted to know why you did that. This is so situation, you have to dish. Okay, that's fine, you don't have to dish, I was just curious.
Yeah, well, we don't have to talk about the specifics of what happened, but there is a pending judicial court case on Thursday that may or may not render Brandon Green eligible to run in this election.
We shouldn't not do it because we're being cheap though. Like, we
Yeah.
can't not say, oh, let's not do special elections because it's too expensive, because
I
that's
understand,
bad.
I have a question, what is I forgot, this is my bad. What's your budget this year? Is it like?
It's around, I can check the number for you. I think it's around like
34, so like, for instance, if by chance, like, I mean, obviously, you can't too much because like next year. But,
yeah.
okay, sis, you gonna do this again? But no, like, my point, and maybe, hey, shit, you're gonna get your ballot, if you want to. Okay, so the thing is, 6,000, how much do you utilize that for budget thus far? In regards to that, because for instance, your successor will likely get 12,000 just to have it on my UCLA. I was $34,000 budget, and then X amount of money for facility, for like bringing facilities out for meetings and like doing stuff for like advertising and stuff. Like, how much have you spent thus far?
So none right now, but we still have to submit like requisitions for the room that we use for the candidate orientation. And hopefully I will be doing some daily drone advertising, so I want to give you an accurate number, but I'm gonna say around 3,000.
Okay, because I know that you grew up session room, the average for now for example, I was like 4 to 5. I'm just saying, like, I don't think money is going to do it. One, because it's precedent.
find money, if we, or the next month, we find money.
Yeah, so money's not really an issue, it's just more so like, talk to Chris and what did you guys kind of come to that? That, you said special election.
Yeah.
So you guys can talk about the alternatives.
He did say we could open it up. But again, like Jay was saying, like we have to go through another round of like campaign orientation, like candidate orientations and all that stuff. And I feel like to those people, it's kind of unfair because these candidates have a bunch of time to come up with, whatever they're gonna do. So it'd be really like crunched for them, and I feel really uncomfortable with that. But I would be in favor of special election.
There's one other area that, that's been about fairness, and that has to do with the gen rep race, where you've got one or two candidates who met the deadlines, got everything in, and if you opened the gen rep 3 spot, but did the typical voting pattern, you could potentially take people who did everything they were supposed to, who based on this would be presumably elected, and have them end up not being elected if multiple people came in. So there's fairness questions within that race on opening it up and keeping with the standard transferable voting model that determines who gets which seat.
You just open the FSC option members on there. If we were to just open up FSC option members online.
But then you're still having a special election.
Right, okay.
And so
Then that's
what's the purpose of doing some?
She dropped out.
Sorry.
Is that okay?
Yeah, okay, so Dr. Keller, so the options that we have to work with are figuring out either to do a special election or just opening up either the agenda or
So if you
FSC.
If you do what would be kind of the automatic response to this situation, you will have a special election in the fall. So the new council, one of their first responsibilities will be appointing the election chair so that it can happen. Anyone who is a student next fall would be up to run, including freshmen and transfers. The timeline would be set once there is an election chair in place. If you don't just go the default route, then potentially election board might recommend either reopening just the elections, delaying the entire election, and reopening. And you don't have a lot of room. The schedule is set in part by when UCLA can accommodate, because they have other things like orientation registration that left, and you're already at about week 5, so there's not a lot of time left. There's also the reality we all experienced. The delay in taking office really has a negative impact on your ability to be ready to go before summer starts. And if you were to delay the election, you would be doing that to all of your successors, which also is not something I could recommend. So, would you come up with a way to open the vacant offices? Yes. Can I recommend it based on the implication? No.
Let's say we do open up the election in the fall, I think if anything like as a council, I don't know if this like breaks any bylaws. I feel like as a council, we definitely have the responsibility regardless of the money, providing as many resources and like putting together like a transition document or packet for people who like a better grant coming in the fall. I agree. I don't think doing an election so quickly, and I don't want to push people who aren't actually passionate about the position into it. I also, as a council, feel like we have a responsibility to do a fall election to, I know we're done in spring, but it's not fair. Like, we need to give them some kind of resources for bylaws or anything, but.
The one thing is making transition documents and running that things bylaws change. And I think there would just have to be, again, the biggest thing that I'm worried about is the institutionalized FSC program. So I think there would just have to be a conversation that would have to happen with the next, whether it be president, IVP, whatever we think is appropriate, just make sure that things like eye-clickers and mouth-clickers that are really time sensitive in the fall get carried out. But I don't think that that would be possible if you feel comfortable, Jay, with delaying some of the institutionalized FSC work until.
I think that's the other thing that we're not taking into consideration, like if these are elections that happen right now, and there's a special election, and people are notified in spring that a special election is happening 3 months, not even 3, 4 months, 3 quarters, 2 quarters in advance. The special election doesn't necessarily have to happen as often as we are anticipating it happening. Yes, it does represent a certain level of risk, but we also have to take into consideration that there are people, a lot of these candidates, despite like some of them might have like despite some of them maybe working in offices, these people don't normally come to like our council meetings. So like we have to take into consideration that like the folks who came in and decided to like run probably like we're thinking about this for X amount of time. But I think that we really care. I mean, if we're really concerned about people starting late, that we should probably notify them as soon as possible in terms of like, hey, this is gonna happen. If you're interested in being in one of these positions, contact Jay, Eduardo, Bella, Aisha, because these are people who are presently here. This is where we have vacancies. So that way you can get an opportunity to be well prepared for the special election. Why? Because as the plan can be like win or whatever, you'll have to hit the ground. I have another point, but I'm gonna check the bylaws to fact check, and then I'll say it. One thing I would note, if there are positions that no one runs for, then after the election results are announced and the new council takes office, the officers in those positions, their term ends. But the offices can continue through the end of spring quarter. So those who are working in the offices would have the remainder of spring to finish whatever initiatives are planned. What wouldn't happen is that the officers themselves would become the council on Tuesday night, stipends end, but they would be just like any other staff in those offices volunteering to work on the project. And they would have that ability to do so through the end of spring. The first one elected will be Gen Rep 1. If there are 2, it will be Gen Reps 1 and 2. And it's not that you have to, but if there are projects incomplete, the Gen Rep offices are really unique because there's not much continuity. Right. Each year you create a plan and you implement your plan, and then your successor comes in and starts at ground zero and creates a new plan. So you probably have less issues with finishing things than a commission where they typically do similar things year in, year out. Another transition strategy that the commission might use once the election results are known, perhaps one of the incumbents in a different office would be willing to partner for the period until special election to take the key programs and keep them moving and be able to then pass them along to the commissioner when that election happens.
Or have someone that is another staff.
So based on the day work with the Gen Rep position change, with the special election, it would not happen.
No, it would still have to, because even if Brandon is deemed qualified or is able to participate, there would still be one vacancy.
Okay.
So if they say yes to Brandon, then that means you have 2 Gen Reps. If they say no to Brandon, that means you have 1. Later. So, okay, I mean, I think it seems like the smartest thing at this point is to just do a special election. which doesn't totally sit right with me, but also I understand all of the points that have been made and the work and stress that was on the board, the implications of putting someone in a position maybe we wanted or didn't set up for initially. And there's something exciting about the possibility of a transfer being able to run the ball or something like that. Or even a first year budget transfer session. So we would just have to make sure that, again, during the transition, that some of those essential programs with an FSC are picked up by someone, but we can work with the next USAC. I'm sure whoever the next president is will be willing to help. Okay. Cool. Okay, so now is your turn. So we're everyone's doing special election. All right. It's not great, but it's the best one we've got. Okay, so now Kiara has the privilege to present the ballot to us all.
Yeah, so this is the ballot. I just
I don't think any of us do.
Can you tweet it into the minutes, like say, for the office of president, the candidates are, for the office of internal vice president, just for the minutes?
So for the office of president, Firkin Yalcin is running for president. Milan Strivostova is running for president. Robert Blake Watson is running for president as well. For IVP, Kimberly is running. She's on the slate for the people. For EVP, Joanna Guerra Martinez is running. For Gen Rep, Eduardo or Lalo Velezquez is running for Gen Rep. He's also on the For the People slate, along with Naomi Riley, who's running for Academic Affairs Commissioner. Also running for Academic Affairs Commissioner is Oscar Macias. Also for Campus Events Commissioner, Tara Steinmetz is running. For Community Service Commissioner, Jonathan Weiser. For Cultural Affairs Commissioner, Kalechi. Yeah, so she's running for Cultural Affairs Commissioner for the People slate. So for Facilities Commissioner, Lily Shaw is running. For Student Wellness Commissioner, it's Mahika Schreeder. And also Ty Pearson is running for Student Wellness Commissioner. Shahma Tariq is running for International Student Rep. And for Transfer Student Representative, Isabel Carmen Araja is running. Also, Malika Khorasani is running. And if the J-Board case goes in Brandon's favor, also for Gen Rep.
I believe the Community Service Commissioner, Kenneth, last name is Wisner, not Weiser.
Oh,
correct. Sorry.
I think so, yeah, was
This is just a very clear. No worries, there's just an add in there. So we'll just do that.
Yeah. Also, these it's not going to be like this on the combined utility. It's going to be randomized.
You know the order that will be on the website?
No, not yet. So.
Got it. Thanks. Awesome. Any questions, comments, or anything? Yeah.
For the candidate orientation packets, like everything that like we got pictures of, did any of that like need to be like run by us, like the adjustments like that were made?
Those were typos. So the election code that's being used, my understanding is the one that we approved. Correct?
Yeah.
They were just typos.
Yeah.
The version was originally set out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the election board cannot use things that we not approved.
Does that count as dates too? Like the calendar dates?
If there is a modification to the dates, they really can bring that for us. So are there any modifications to the calendar?
I'm just curious, like, is the Brandon thing like a matter of like dates being switched? Or like, why is it about that?
I think that is more of a question that can emerge in the J-Board hearing, because I don't know how appropriate it is for us to make that here. But my understanding is a question of whether he was aware of the dates and whether or not the dates were appropriately communicated.
Oh, I see. I thought it was like, I thought it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we should.
Again, that will be ruled on, it's Thursday at 7 p.m. in Ackerman 2412. The preliminary hearing is closed, but the rest of the hearing is open to the public. I will not be there, but if anyone else wants to go, you're more than welcome to, and I can send information. Okay, so this is a consent item. We don't have performance moments, so we will go over here. Okay. So we will now go into public comment. I know it's a little bit late to be doing public comment. But as always, we have 3 rounds of public comment. The first round is neither audio nor video recording. The second round is audio recording without video. Third round is both audio and video recording. We ask each public commenter to keep theirs each 2 minutes. We ask that only members of the Undergraduate Student Association participate in public comment. A few ground rules: please speak respectfully and intentionally. Please use gender-inclusive language and pronouns. And please challenge ideas and non-individuals. All right. So I will be going row by row. We'll just go with how many folks from one side of the room to the other after public comment. And we will begin with the round with no audio and no video recording. So
I'm gonna do this.
There should be like
I'm
a
not
video
ready.
icon and like.
Oh, God. Oh yes, okay, so. On.
audio and video.
Okay, both audio and video are on. Cool.
All right. Audio and video public comment. Sure.
Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm with CalPERT. I'd just like to talk about the resolution for ending hunger that we have on the agenda today. Of course, I'd like to thank USAC for passing the textbook resolution last week. We worked really hard on that, and we're looking forward to working with the people that sponsored it, Medina, and anyone else who's interested in making college more affordable. But as far as the hunger resolution, I'd like you guys to vote yes on that, partly because I drafted it, and partly because it's a statement. It's a statement to the community here at UCLA. It's a statement to the administrators, and it's a statement, especially to those students that are working more on trying to find their next meal than on their homework, or students that are lacking in their mental, physical, and academic performance because they're focused on what they're going to eat, what they're going to eat, their diets. And so this resolution, well, you have an opportunity to make a statement to those people where you stand, if you stand with them. And so I just encourage you guys to vote yes on this resolution, and we'll see what kind of statement we make today. All right.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah. I'm the External Affairs Director for our CalPERT chapter here on campus. I just want to give you guys an update on what we've been up to. So over spring break, we were running our LA campus office. So we went out door to door in the community, knocking on people's doors, building up support for our campaign to ban polystyrene cups and containers, which is also commonly known as styrofoam. And I also just learned is one of the main ingredients in solo cups. And so we are working to ban the use of this toxic plastic that never breaks down. But over the past week, we had organizers and students across the state come together and raise $20,000 in support of this. We're going to actually be continuing our work on this summer. Myself and our vice chair, Nick, are actually going to be helping direct some of our campus offices across the state, in Sacramento, Houston, Berkeley, building that support to continue working on banning polystyrene. As well as this past week here on campus, we've been working to tell a lot of students about our work and get them involved in our campaign. So we've been running our recruitment drive, and we just talked to over 3,000 students over the last week about the work that we've been doing on our campaign to get electric transportation, make textbooks more affordable, save bees and end hunger on our campuses. So we talked to 600 interested students over the last week, and we're having our big spring kickoff meeting tomorrow. It's going to be at 6 p.m. in Haynes Hall 82. We're really excited to kick off all of our campaigns this quarter. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I will make this out of it. All right, last call for public comment. I will turn public comment at 8:21 p.m. All right, we are again going to have to skip the appointment, so thank you, Selena, for being here and for waiting. I will check in with folks as to when they're coming. Sorry again. And we'll move into officer reports. So we have a proxy for IDP, right? Yes. Hi, congratulations. Great. So, right? All right. So I have you guys a couple brief things. My Time's Up team was reverse flyering today. You know, spraying normal activities there. So I was IDP for that on. Just sharing information about care trainings for student organizations. Because what we wanted to do is reform and expand sexual prevention trainings, but we don't want to reinvent the wheel when care already does amazing prevention trainings for organizations. So we want to utilize our platform and utilize just how incredible about that and draw all the positive feedback. So my these are really great. It's really great that the structure exists. And just another reminder why care needs more funding. On that topic, I have my final meeting with President Napolitano and the staff as chair of the Council of Student Body Presidents in 2 weeks, on April 23rd. So I'll be late to council again that week, sorry. But the agenda for that meeting is going to be set by Monday. So if you all have anything you want brought up with President Napolitano with system-wide level, let me know. So far, some things on the agenda that I've been working on are care funding, follow up on our ask for support from undocumented students, addressing recent instances of anti-Blackness and holding you to be accountable for those instances, and also what Sunny brought up to us recently on SBSA policy and research. So let me know again if folks have other things that they want from that on this meeting agenda, and I will send it out to you when it's done. That's it for me. Yeah, Jessica.
You want me to just send it to
text, email, whatever. Yeah.
I don't know if it's an option right now, but Friday.
Do you think that's something that's relevant for system-wide? Do you do that at every school or? Okay. We can talk about that offline, because it certainly should be, but it would just have to be system-wide. Yeah. Okay, great. IMD.
Hi, so in the Spring and August Activities Fair happened today. There were over 150 student organizations that were there, and about 12,000 of students came by to talk to different student organizations. Platform 2, which is our outreach campaign, we gave 13 different student organizations funding. Some of them were funded fully, and some of them were funded partially. We gave about $10,000 to those student organizations. And Platform 3, they're hosting an open mic event on hate speech with admin. And Campus Safety Alliance is meeting week 3. The time and location are still limited. That's pretty much for
Awesome, thank you. I just texted Jamie asking if she had anything she wants to write in for AVP, so I will let you know. She get back to me. We will skip down to number 2.
Just thanks everyone for the presentation last week. And we have made a lot of progress working with Robert's office and good close to people to expand to get, I think 5 orphans institutionalized into different fraternities and sororities around campus, and those have been coming up pretty quickly. From my correspondence with those people, it sounds like that they're pretty often fully stocked, which is really great that they have the resources.
So for initiative, which is our accessibility rights project, we're working to create a zine on the experiences of students in regards to accessibility, accessibility, and overcoming barriers. So we're asking members of the student body to connect like in art, poetry, essays, photography, to kind of start talking about like how physical space affects and shapes our experiences at UCLA. And then we're going to be meeting with UCLA transportation
So updates on retirement hire, for the scholarship itself, and the subsidy, we have over 200, responses right now. The application closes Sunday night, so if you're interested, the link is tinyurl.com/hire application. Basically, it's an opportunity for you to have the possibility to receive a $250 subsidy to access professional clothing. The application takes like 8 minutes, because there's only really one question. So make sure to apply if you're interested. On a separate note, there's the Attire to Hire event, which will take place on April 28th from 4 to 9 p.m. We just got funding through CSC for buses, so we'll be busing around 300 students from UCLA to the local JCPenney Culver City, where they have agreed to give every student an additional 40% discount coupon. So if you're interested, you can RSVP to the event/request transportation at tinyurl.com/attire-event-RSVP. And it's like opportunity to access discounted clothing. It's additional, so like let's say something's already at 40% discount at the store, with your coupon you get an additional 40, so it's like 80%. So it's really cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes.
If you don't go with your transportation, can they still take advantage?
Yes.
How would they get like a coupon? Show the clerk their ID?
Yeah, so the coupons will be distributed at the store. So with your UCLA ID, you just show them, and then you will get the discount coupon there. You should RSVP to the Google form, because the Google form is both for RSVP to the general event, but then there's also a sub-question that says, like, do you require transportation? So if you do, you RSVP and request transportation for the same form, but if not, you just RSVP like you're arranging to go by yourself.
Alright, USAC's uniform, 1,000.
They didn't say anything.
Okay.
I could ask and.
Okay, take that.
So, moving on, we have 2 people from our office running, we have developed action here, and the precious and wonderful and love them. Another thing is for the spring, I'm going to do what I feel like I wish that I had from my transition, and I'm thinking all spring, and I'm essentially, in a sense, like going to be a representative, but I'm training everyone in the office. So, all the people that are, first year, like transfers, have already given me my letter, telling me want to be directors next year. I started training this upcoming Wednesday with my directors, and so firstly, we're gonna go from like start to finish with everything. First thing, we're gonna have a USAC the way it works, and so anyone we have our general meeting tomorrow from 6 to 7, if anyone wants to just stop by and do a spiel about their office, so these new directors would be awesome. From here on out, every general meeting that we have, everyone will be shadowing me, especially Leah and Isabel. With that for spring, we've reduced our event load, and what we're doing instead is that we're gonna, both Heather and I decided to take this year, like, or this quarter as like a transition quarter, since a lot of the transfers we just don't have that. So Heather and I really brought on new employees to the transfer student center, which is the first time it happened in spring. But with that, I'm gonna have my office also shadow the transfer student center staff, because I can probably understand the role of the center and the kids are important. We also are going to, I'll be overseeing events in a way, but it's going to be really empowering these directors. They're going to be shadowing for study hall, which is a pretty simple event. We're going to do casino night with ASCCLA, and the Transfer Student Center is doing that with ASCCLA, and so they're asked us to help plan with them. We're going to do that, but with the new directors and the upcoming TSR. And the last thing is going to be the end of the year celebration weekend, and we're also, the goal would be that my office is pretty much ready and good to go at on weekend and beyond. And then also acceptances are coming out in April, so I know we have a lot of incoming traditional access students coming in. We talk about it, but it'd be awesome to have a lot of office events like this. Community also just encouraging the day application events. So I'll send you all like a graphic for it. It'd be awesome if you all just post something on like the day it's kind of transfers. But if you're all okay with that, I'll send it out. And I think the tentative date was the 24th as of now, but it might
so much coffee actually. She's not here to run it herself, but Jamie is speaking at Earth Day at 8 a.m. or I think it's like 8:30 a.m. technically, in Paul Pavilion on Saturday, so if anyone wants to see her speak, it's great. I'll be out of town, so I cannot speak, which she has graciously agreed to fill that role for me. So yeah, go Jamie. Okay, CSP again?
They haven't responded.
No worries. Okay. Then that's
Okay. So I have a lot. SWC, springtime in SWC is my favorite times. So last week, the reason I didn't give out an officer report was because I was at roll aids, and it was definitely a success to get a lot of people come out, so thank you for coming out. So SWC Active Minds has 3 big events coming up. The first one is actually happening tonight. It's BPD, so borderline personality disorder, and dissociative identity disorder film screening that's happening right now in Kirkhoff Art Gallery. And then the 2 biggest events for this year, like the whole year, Sense Silence Packing is happening on April 18th, which is going to be in Wilson Plaza. It's usually, it's the huge event where they have all those backpacks there. And then the Art in Mind conference is by far the biggest event of their whole years on April 20th. So it's free. You can totally register on the website and on Facebook. So highly recommend going. Body Image Task Force needs help identifying body image issues in students that identify as male. So I'll put the link in the minutes and then also in the USAC grouping for all of you that identify as male. So they need some feedback basically, because all of the stuff that they do, I think they reach out a lot towards the students that identify as female population, but not so much the male population. Body Image Task Force is also having their annual Beauty and You photo exhibit. Some of you have been involved in years past, but it's a great time to get a good photo of yourself featuring something that you really love about yourself. So it's really cool. And that will be April 16th, 11 to 3 p.m. SWC Search is having their Faded Festival Facts event tomorrow in light of Coachella and other music festivals being nearby. And that's basically an event where students can learn more about overdosing and drugs and things like that that happen at those festivals very often. I'm really excited. So Sex Week is next week. So check out the Sexperts events for all Sexperts Facebook for all the events. I recommend going to Sextravaganza, and they have a porn panel on Friday, April 26th. So you can go check out and listen to a bunch of porn stars talking about their experiences in their careers. And then a few internal SWC things going on. So next weekend we have our leadership retreat, and then our marketing team is almost done working on our recruitment video for next year, which should come out by the end of the quarter. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks. Well, I'm excited now. Okay, Kat. All right, she.
Oh, but she's on me something.
Oh, sure.
So, week 2 is World Fest. There will be a graffiti workshop on April 9th at Jan Steps from 12 to 3 p.m. World Fest and Word April 10th at Kirkhoff Art Gallery from 7 to 9 p.m. Then there will be a World Dance workshop on April 11th at Woodland Park Golf Course from 8 to 10 p.m. And then week 3 there's Cabinet Talks April 15th at Kirkhoff Art Gallery from 5 to 7 p.m. Colonizing Mindfulness April 16th at Jan Steps from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And Cultural Wellness Maintenance April 17th at the Reception Room from 5 to 7 p.m. Wellness Not Whiteness April 18th at River LLC 5 to 7 p.m. And lastly, there will be a block party at April 19th at Wilson Plaza from 5 to 9 p.m.
What was the last one?
Thanks. Dr. Riley's the only one that are right now, but do you have something like that? Dr. Riley? No, that's great. Okay, does anyone have a board phone number that can call them?
I do, I definitely do.
That would be awesome.
Where we went. The rest of our items are action items, right?
Yeah, everything else. Yeah.
Anyone have more fun? Don't answer. Try one more time.
I texted them, or I heard me. Well,
Yeah.
I shouldn't come and Serena can come whenever, but even if they're both here, it doesn't matter because we still are at 9.
Yeah.
Why don't we should come?
Um,
You do come. Or you come.
Well, we're screwed for now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's even worth doing Selena's hearing because we can't vote on it. But also you've been here, and only you sit through another. Yeah, sure, okay, let's take a recess until 8:45.
Okay, everyone blast and let us
He said if you were Should we get Ollie to come back? We're taking a recess.
Is Anthony there too? What is he? He's not even there. Was he?
do this. This thing is already us. Put that. And then so is this.
It's like not all my questions.
Yes, so the normal way there.
I think it might have started 16.
The questions are like,
Yeah, we don't. However, if things. Yeah, so we have like.
oh, that's what I thought.
But it's usually recorded.
Well, yeah, because they're gonna be voting on it. I'm gonna be there for that.
So, yeah, so this order though, there's only 6 seconds.
But you'll start coming back.
Or sorry,
It's so
Okay.
Yes, I will. George, next week, I'm gonna give it.
Wait, I was, oh, yeah. I was like, Oh, wait, is USAC class?
Oh, yeah. really apologize, for making you sit for an hour and a half, and the fact that none of this is going to be approved today, unfortunately. So we'll take an email vote, on contingency and funding on Friday. I will send an email out very shortly about that. I don't believe you can take any other votes via email, right? It has to be 3 days, right? I can't do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 3 days.
Well, no, wait, it doesn't have to be 3 days, if everyone, we do 3 days, but we have everyone, like, we encourage everyone to cast their vote by. Because all these people got internet, they all got the pieces in, they weren't here, so let's just do that, because when you just.
I don't know how I'm allowed to do that. If I'm calling a special vote, I have to do it 3 days in advance, right? So it would have to be Friday.
So my question is, they'll have to do it by Friday.
On Friday. Like I'll open it up for, like how we do it for summer, I'll do it from 11 to 1, to other.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I will quite literally not be here, but it's fine.
Brian, how many applications are you trying?
21.
I mean, there is like literally nothing I can do, like we can't drag
Yeah.
Jamie back from DC. So.
No, we should do,
There's.
we should do a class on change in terms of voting and like for extenuating circumstances where people are about to.
Hold on, wait, can you say it, can you speak?
We should think about that.
This is a very rare situation, this is only happened to us maybe once before, it's just very unfortunate, but I mean, there's really nothing that any of us can do at this point, so. Is there anything that we can approve the election board, or the election ballot over email?
I don't know that you actually have to approve it. It has
Okay.
to be presented to
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
But I don't think you necessarily need to vote on it.
Okay.
Because you don't have authority to change anything on it.
Then, okay, then we'll just, then we don't have to vote on it, then that's fine, you can move forward with that. The unfortunate situation is the appointment and the vote. Again, we'll be sorry.
On the contingency, you've got in your funding guidelines. the
Right, I can approve up to
Under
7.
which you can approve in weeks where there's no quorum.
Yes, that's
So
what I'm.
anything that was under that amount, you could technically move forward to approve and simply inform council. And, for the others, if there are some that are above the dollar amount, if the question would be timing, is there anything that cannot wait till next Tuesday that would justify having a Friday vote as opposed to Tuesday? Or for the larger ones, would Tuesday still be before they happen?
Yeah, I think there's. Yeah, so I guess I can move the ones above 700 to next. Because the earliest is, April 16th is the date of 2 events that are above $700. That would be a nice meeting, but we can approve on the same day, and then I'll just send them how much money they're gonna receive, that way they can know, and maybe prepare any person for this, and then they can just go like how I'm going to get it Wednesday. Which, I mean, that's not an ideal situation though, so if we can't do it Friday like that, would be better.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so you, tonight, just go ahead and approve all the ones up to 700, and then
Yeah.
I will send out an email right after this calling a special meeting on Friday. What time do folks want to do it on Friday?
We should do it early, so that way he has time to put the SGA stuff.
Okay.
So it should be like in the morning, like around
10 a.m. to 12? Yeah, we only need 10, there are 9 people to send me an email saying yes.
Blast the routine.
Yeah, and I literally, I don't know how to conversation.
Oh,
So I may
I will
not
blast
be in charge of it, but yeah.
I would blast.
Do you want to do 9 to 11 or 10 to 12?
I'm good with
We
that.
should do, yeah,
10 to 12.
10 to 12, okay. 10 to 12 on Friday, I will send out an email about it, I'm gonna ask Robert to just oversee it in my absence.
Put it in.
Great, okay. Yeah, I just want to know if I'm gonna have
I
time.
know it's more work for you in this case, but you could theoretically then also just approve up to 700 for all the groups, and then any, the remainder could be really long, so this way the accounts can already.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing tonight, yeah, I'll send, Jake's and.
Because then they can just open everybody's account and then count the additional over 700 for the few groups.
Yeah.
And then they could just transfer more in after that.
Oh, I see.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
in 2 applications.
yeah, allocate all of them and then just have them do a second budget transfer.
Do you have Boomerang on Gmail?
What?
Like Boomerang, you can basically like set a time and date that, so you press send and it sends on that time and date. So you don't have to like wait to send it. You can press, it's like a Chrome extension where you can like send it and you're like, you don't have to be in front of a laptop or like your phone for it to send. So I would look into that.
Yeah, okay, well, honestly, I don't think we're gonna be too big.
Oh, I don't.
Okay. I will send you about that tonight. Sorry, we got you off super. Anything else before we adjourn? All right, we'll adjourn 8:56 p.m. Doing welfare, yes, yes. Okay. George, can you have you
Yes.
No.